How long ago was it? It was only like what, 2 weeks ago? A week?
Do you know what's mad? I was
Can't be two
thinking,
weeks.
wow, was it only? But yeah, it was. Yeah, I got back on the weekend. So and then I went, obviously the week before. So I was there for like around about a week. So yeah, yeah, it was nice. I think the main thing was even if the weather was not great, it wasn't snowing there and it was warmer as well. So small things, innit? Small things.
No, no, I
But
hear
yeah,
you. I
but
hear you. I
obviously
hear
yeah,
you.
I've been there before. When one of my friends got married out there, and
Where did you go?
Porto,
Was it? It
yeah,
was
sorry, sir,
Porto or
yeah,
was it Lisbon?
Porto. So
Porto. Okay.
it was good to go back and experience it at a different time of year. So that was quite nice. I think I was saying to you briefly, the food is levels. The only thing that's frustrating is you'll like it if you like cured meats and cheese. So obviously, I'm not really a massive cheese fan, and I don't eat like beef and pork and all of that. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, the food was good. It was so nice, and even when you're eating, the vibe is nice. So like the places where I was eating is either like local place, like cafes and stuff. So you get like the local vibe, or it's just like relaxed. Do you know what I mean? Like there's no like loud people shouting or like singing football songs, anything. It was just calm. It was calm.
And man said no, no pub
No,
talk. You know, like when you get in a pub and you're trying to just enjoy a meal, and then you'll get like a riff raff of people like who've been to the football or something, and they're on the next table and they've been drinking since like 11 o'clock, and they're in like a nice restaurant, and you're just
yeah,
trying to
yeah,
enjoy a meal, and then they come in with the riff raff and that. So now I hear what you're saying, man. But it's mad that it rained over there though, because I think I said to you before when I found out you were going, I said, "Oh, it'd be good to get like a little bit of sun and this and that." But yeah, man, that's mad. But you know what?
mm,
Sometimes it's just a
mm,
climate
mm.
thing, or like just a not even a climate, sorry, like a different surrounding thing. Do you know what I mean? Like just being away from work, being away from obviously for you, like in London, just different surroundings, man. Do you know what I mean? Not having to open your laptop or get the tube to work or whatever. It's just
Trust
sometimes
me.
it's nice just to wake up and just walk down the street, get to the shop, grab a little something, and chill, go have some lunch somewhere, have an evening meal, little stroll down the beach or
No,
whatever. Do you know what I mean?
100%. And even like when you were saying that, it reminded me that things aren't open late here, which is annoying. So even one of the days I was having like waffles and ice cream at like 11 o'clock at night. Do you know what I mean? I know that sounds mad, but it's just. I just felt like it.
I'm just
Yeah,
thinking
yeah, I
about my
know, I know.
belly, man. I'm
Yeah, I
thinking
know, I
about my
know.
belly,
But it's
innit?
just, it's just, you can just go and do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah,
here,
yeah.
you've got to find something that's open, and the things that are open are in probably areas that are mad or areas that,
You just
yeah,
don't want
it's
to
a long.
trust them,
But
innit?
yeah, no, I just went to my guy. I was like, English. He was like, no, but I was like, yeah, that one. He was like, oh, I had to download the menu. So I was like, going through it. And he was like, okay, okay. I was like, yeah, avocado. And then he said it properly, like, thank you, in it. But he
Yeah,
said it properly back. I was like, oh, okay, I mispronounced it. But it's calm anyway, man. And it's all open. So I made sure man didn't
yeah, man.
spit in my food for obviously messing up the language and all of that. So it's good. It's good, man. But,
You know, always that's why I never return food. You know, that's why one thing if I return food, I never expect anything to come back. Actually, so I'll return it, but I want my money back. Do you get what I'm saying? Like I don't return food and then expect them to bring me out something fresh because we all know what happens in the back of them kitchens as well.
long
So
thing.
it ain't even a thing like that, man. But yeah, lots happen, man. What was the flights like actually in terms of like going through like the airports? Because I'm going away in
Mm.
July. I think July, I think, and like I hear different things, and it might be different in London, but sometimes some people say it's calm. Some people say you got to queue for like ages because we're obviously
Mm-hmm.
in a different queue now. So is it
Yeah,
easy? Is it calm?
so getting through security is fine. I think because of I feel like the process is more streamlined now. So everybody's just there for the business of flying. Do you know what I mean? So it just felt more managed and controlled. Um, Even coming back, to be fair, was fine as well. The thing, to be fair, it's a little bit specific to flying from Porto, but what I noticed when I've been to Portugal is you don't get the madness that you do in like Spain or France, where they look at you and they're sending you to the next line, and they're doing all the body,
Man,
yeah, the
ready to
body
frisk you up.
searches, and they're going through your bag. Every time I go, not every time, but a lot of times when I've gone to Spain and France, they want to go through my hand luggage and they're taking my food and things like that. Whereas
Mm,
Porto's fine. Even when the thing went through and I was shown, like, they were just saying, oh, like, you've got to take out this or that. It's fine. But yeah. In terms of the
yeah,
process,
yeah.
yeah, it was. I think you're. I know you're a calm flyer anyway. In terms of you just got your bag through, none of that messing around stuff. But yeah, I just found it was more straightforward this time, which is good. Because the last thing you want is a hassle going through security and getting on the plane. Oh, planes are on time as well, pretty much.
What do you mean? They're
No,
always on time,
there's
innit?
no,
No, not
no,
for
no.
you. You and Jesse used to. This is why I never fly back with you and Jesse, because every time I fly with one of you, I'm sure you both have always issues in it with planes, man, and you leave it like
No,
last minute
so
and that. Nah, man, I'm there like 3 hours ahead of time. I'm there. I'm there at the airport before the plane's even
I've had
in the country.
I've had a
I'm
few I've
there
had a
before
few near
them.
misses, but no, just like you get on the plane, they bring you on the plane at a point where they're pretty much ready to go. There's a little delay, I think, one of the ways. I can't remember which way it was. But other than that, it was like, yeah, it's cool. This is the time you need to go. This is how long it's supposed to take. And then you land at the time you're supposed to land and you get off the plane straight away. Like, it was all fine. So I don't know if this is a post pandemic thing or just obviously the flight that I was on this time. But I was relaxed. It just felt like I was getting a train somewhere, like jumping on the train to go somewhere and come back. It didn't feel like it was like this big old deal of flying.
Yeah, man, no, it's mad because I was watching. I wasn't watching this, but I was watching something on TV the other day, and every time I'm about to fly, like a couple of months before, I always come across videos of like plane crashes or mad turbulence. On, you know what I mean? It just comes up on my timeline on Twitter, or I think it's like a program. It's like on the National Geographical
Mm.
channel, something like that, and it was like called Airplane Disasters or something like that. I'm thinking, who wants to watch like a program of just people planes crashing? And there's a Netflix one actually that I do want to watch. It's I don't know if you remember that one that went missing, the MH370, I think it is, and it went. I think it was
Oh,
in
that one.
Malaysia.
It's a
Yeah, it
recent
was
one, isn't it?
Malaysia.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It was only a couple of years ago. I started watching it, but sometimes you're not in the mood to watch like that. I don't want to watch something about a plane go missing. So, but I want to watch it because I think it's interesting. Like, there's a lot of conspiracy theories in it as well. Like some of the, I think the bit I got up to, there's a woman that works for, like, she was
Mm.
like a stewardess, and then I think her husband was a pilot, and she wasn't working because she was on maternity leave. And not to spoil it for anyone, but and then the pilot went into
Mm.
work that day,
Mm.
obviously didn't come home. So she's like, there's a conspiracy, planes don't just disappear and da 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 da. And there's another, I need to rewatch it properly, but there's like another couple as well. And I think she just got like a random
Yeah.
call, do you know what I mean? To say like from, I can't remember, I need to rewatch it, but look, the first episode, 3 episodes, but the first episode I got halfway through and I just thought I need to sit and watch this. This is not one of them things where you can kind of like be doing something and watching it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, you
certain
have to
things you
pay
can do that
attention.
with, but not that. No.
I can't
Yeah.
watch them thing, but I know you like to watch them and the murder, like, is it John Bundy or whatever his name was? Them things. was it was it Ted Bundy?
Ted,
I know it was one of them kind of names,
that's
though, but
making up names.
yeah, I know you watch them things, but I'm curious, but I'm not curious enough to have
Yeah, any,
nightmares and not ever be able to fly again and be in the house on my own and thing like that.
there was one this morning actually. Like I feel like it was in London, and this man, the previous storm, I think it was like a storm. It's called Otto,
Mm.
Storm Otto recently, and the pilots land. You should see the way the pilot is landing this plane, man. It's like someone said he must be the Lionel Messi of pilots. The way he landed the plane, honestly, like if I was on that plane, nah, it would not be landing. I'm telling you, I'll be causing chaos on that plane because I don't like. The one thing I don't like about flying is turbulence or feeling like the
And it
plane.
drops.
Like sometimes the plane's just like
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You see when that happens, listen. That's a one time. I'm just not on that, man, because I don't know what's happening, and everyone else is calm. I always see people just like can't the trolley. The one time actually, I feel like I was coming back from Portugal actually, or maybe it's Egypt, one of them. And the one time I knew that we were in a bit of trouble, the trolley lady, or what I can't remember what they're
Yeah,
called,
yeah.
trolley
No,
dolly,
it's
trolley
a
children,
Charlie
whatever they're called.
Charlie's. No,
I'm not sure if
no,
there's a,
no. I
I'm
know
not sure
you.
if
I
there's
know
a
you.
correct term, but the trolley lady, she looked scared, and she went and sat down, and you know, like the seatbelt
Yeah.
thing comes on, and she sat down quick, and I
Okay.
thought, oh, like for her to
Serious,
sit
innit?
down, serious, sat and sit, and then we went through some mad turbulence, like. Nah, that's not. See, when I hear turbulence or see
It's long.
turbulence, nah. That's
You
nothing.
reminded me
Nah,
though,
forget
actually.
it.
So one thing. This is something I've never seen before, but again, I don't know. Maybe it's the flights I've been on. So there was a one of the air. What do you call them? Like stewardesses. Was a black guy.
Not
Not a
trolley
drunk
dolly.
dolly. No, it was a black guy, and it was yeah, yeah.
What
So it
on
was
your flight?
funny because the whole dynamic of the interactions between the passengers and the flight crew was different. So, without going into too much detail, one of the passengers I got on was a known like podcast personality, like football wise. Like obviously, I'll show you the name afterwards because yeah, imagine I'm flying from
Yeah,
Porto, and Arsenal playing Lisbon that day, so you can probably put two and two together.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
they just started talking. So the guy was doing the seatbelt checks, and then obviously he saw the guy was fully kitted in Arsenal, so he just started talking to him. He was a United fan. The guy's asked, but it was weird because sometimes you get so used to it being so serious, and no one's talking to
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Like they only
yeah.
want to talk to you if your bags are under your seat or your scarf shouldn't be on your. You know what I mean? So
Robots.
no, it was. I'm not saying it's because it was a black guy, but the vibe was just different. It was quite nice. Um, and I noticed even on I think I was on the way back, so on the way there, just the crew seemed a bit more diverse. But again,
Mm.
ain't flown in a while.
Was that who was that with?
No,
Was
that
it
was
BA? Like,
EasyJet.
is it like
Yeah.
a EasyJet? I see. I think it
Mm.
depends where you fly from as well, though. Because I know like further up, obviously, I say this with everything, not just pilots, but or airline crew, but the further up north you get, obviously
Yeah,
the
yeah,
things
yeah.
change. Do you know what I'm saying?
The mountain
You know what I'm
peaks.
talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah. So yeah, no, do you know what? EasyJet, the only people I've ever had problems with
Yeah, yeah.
realistically is Ryanair, and even then, I have to question myself. Why am I flying with these people anyway? So I set myself up for that one because Ryanair is the worst. I swear I'm not even making this up, but I'm pretty sure at one point Ryanair were offering a pound flight, but you had to stand up on the plane. I swear that's not even a
That's
lie.
mad.
I'm gonna Google it afterwards. I swear. I swear. I know that they did pound seats after that because I
Yeah,
think they
yeah,
were
oh,
breaking
yeah,
rules. But I might be making this up,
bro.
but I don't think I am. But I swear you could fly like to Dublin. It was like a pound. I swear you had to stand up. I swear to God, honestly. If I'm making it up, then I might be. But I'm gonna Google it, and if I find it, I'm gonna put it in here somewhere. I'm gonna put a clip in
Yeah,
here
no,
if I can
you're
find it.
right.
That's
I've
mad.
just found it. It's on obviously I'm just reading it on face value, but on the Guardian,
Yeah, you
yeah,
could stand up.
2012. Mad.
Yeah, I told you, man.
Let's
Standing up.
see.
Mad turbulence, standing up. Behave. I don't know if anyone's flew to Dublin, but when you see when you go over them English channels and they're seeing that,
Just bear
listen,
with.
you're elbowing someone, you're kicking someone, you need a couple of brandies to calm yourself down. I don't know, but
God, that's mad.
yeah, I never
That's
done that
mad.
one, man.
That's
Madness, man.
mad.
But yeah, it's mad. Have you obviously I know you just not long got back. And I think when it came out when you was away, but did you get to see the Chris Rock
No,
special?
no, it's
Did you
on my
see it
list,
yet?
so I'm definitely gonna watch it because what's funny with Chris Rock is I find because he's not so much in the public eye so often, sometimes you forget how raw and direct he is. And that's what I'm looking forward to it. Because it's like, I love Dave Chappelle, but quite often there's like little clips and little bits and pieces. So you're constantly reminded of just saying it how it is. But Chris Rock, every time I watch his stand ups, I always forget that he's just raw, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? But what about you? Have you seen it as well?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you though, because with I suppose I can't because you haven't really watched it, but I feel like a lot of his jokes, I think you would have heard them at his show that you went to last year. Was it last year you went to
Dave
that show,
Chappelle.
or was it this year?
Chris Rock. No,
Was
I
it
didn't
last
see
year?
Chris Rock.
Yeah,
I was gonna the one where he toured with Dave Chappelle. No, no, I didn't. I
yeah.
looked. I looked. No, I looked at the
Oh, I thought
P's and
you
I looked
went.
at my bank account.
Wasn't it? Wasn't it you that went to see Chris Rock? Or was that someone
No,
else then?
so. it was me and Jesse that went. Remember when you couldn't make it, and
Yeah, yeah,
then
yeah.
Chappelle I saw 2 years ago.
Wasn't that when was that though?
Oh, that was
When
time
was that?
ago. That Chris Rock one was the
Oh,
tambourine. No, that was
I
that
thought it
one.
was okay. I thought it was recent, but no, I felt like a lot of his jokes were things that were probably on that tour they
Oh,
did.
was it?
Like and a lot of it as well. I wasn't
Mm.
disappointed in it. There's a couple of things that kind of like stood out to me, and I think the worst thing was everyone was waiting for the one
Yeah,
bit. Do you know what I mean? Like at the end, like, I won't spoil it, but there's a bit where he obviously does what people are wanting to hear him do, based off what happened last year. But I think a lot of it now, I find with American comedians as well, and I'm probably not as close to them as I used to be. Growing up, we had like Richard Pryor, then you had Eddie Murphy, then you had Dave Chappelle, then you had Chris Tucker, Chris Rock,
yeah, yeah.
Bernie Mac, Cedric the
Cat
Entertainer,
Williams, bit, just
then
bit.
we Eddie,
Yeah,
Cat Williams, Eddie
yeah.
Griffin. You had loads of like this circuit of comedians, and I don't feel like, again, maybe because I'm not close to it as I used to be when I was growing up, but I don't feel like we've got that anymore. Like that sort of Def Jam, comedy kind of circuit. Like, do you know what I mean? And I feel with Chris Rock, he's at that point now where certain jokes just I don't know if he can make them anymore. He's in that bracket where I don't really want to hear him talk about it. And maybe Dave Chappelle as well, but I think Chappelle executes
Mm.
it better. And I feel like because it was live as well, I feel like there was a bit of nervousness with Chris Rock because it
Yeah,
was live
yeah.
streamed on Netflix. I think it was the first live stream that they did, and I feel like he was like some of his jokes weren't on. He was off. He messed jokes up. Um, like he literally messed the whole joke. I think he was talking about um the Will Smith film, and he got the title of the film wrong,
Mm.
and then he fumbled his joke because then it didn't
Amazing.
even
Yeah,
it didn't land
yeah.
properly. Yeah, so and then he tried to like recover it a little bit, but I feel like there was a bit of nervousness. Um, but a lot of it was predictable. Like that's what I mean. Like over here, you've got like Mo coming through. Like Mo comedian's probably the big thing. He's doing like world
Mm,
tours
mm,
over in
mm.
America, and I feel like I connect with him more than I would with a Chris Rock special. Probably because I don't know how old Mo is actually, but he's
That
probably
close. Yeah.
roughly around our age, closer to our age range, and he talks about things that we can relate to a lot more because obviously he's from over here. So I think the Chris Rock one was. I think the next one, if he
Mm.
does another one, I think that would be better. I feel like this one was rushed, and I feel like it was. Yeah, I think it was very predictable. Some of the stand up, and I think if had you gone on that tour
Mm.
when he came
It
to
would have been the
London, I
same.
think a lot of them jokes would have been the same, man. But no, it was good, man. It was just what you expected, didn't it? I think Tambourine was for me. Tambourine was
Mm.
good, but they don't beat Never
Yeah,
Scared, and
bigger
it
and
doesn't
blacker.
beat Never Scared for me.
Yeah.
That's his like blueprint for like Jay-Z. That's his blueprint, and
Is that that's the Clear
um
Hills one, isn't it? And yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, spin, they're spinning. You see when he does all that, that was like prime Chris
In
Rock
the element,
in
yeah,
his
yeah.
element. You know what I mean? And I feel like now he's older, so there's only certain things he can talk about, and he's probably talking about different things. It just seemed a bit rushed for me, man. But I think if he does another one, I think that'd be even better. I think he'll be good. But I wanted to get your thoughts on like comedians as well, because like in America, and I don't know if you watch many, but I feel like it's kind of not as prominent. Like Americans were the ones for comedy at one point, like the people we just named off. But do you think it's changed now? Do you think we're just more like associated with comedians like Mo Gilligan and um like Ramesh
Yeah.
Ranganathan or what his name is? Like, do you reckon we're kind of like linked to them a
You know,
bit
you
more
know
now?
what? Like, I think there's two things for me that stand out at the moment. So the first one with the American comedy, I feel like you mentioned Def Jam before. I feel like there was more of
Mm.
a collation of like shows that we would then watch. Because if you imagine some of them like Def Comedy Jams, like you're getting, I think there's one that's got like Bernie Macs on it, and then maybe like you might get Chris Tucker on it, and then you'll get I can't remember who else would have been on that. But yeah,
There was
you get
loads,
loads
man.
of them
Yeah,
all
yeah,
in short bursts, and you watch them, and you watch on other people.
yeah,
Do you know
yeah.
what I mean? So you have that now. Like there's still they like you get like the little Netflix ones, where you get a lot of them on there, and then you have people like Dion Cole, who's quite funny. I can't remember the woman's name, but She's in this show called Abbott Elementary. I can't remember, but she like
Oh, is she in the Upshaws as well? Is that the woman that's in the
no.
Upshaws?
You thinking of Wanda Sykes?
Oh, what's her name?
Nah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Sorry, yeah,
you've
yeah,
got
yeah,
that
sorry.
the older generation, but I feel like the younger generation that's kind of coming through, or even if they're like in their 20s, early 30s, it's there, but because there's so many mediums to watch them on, it's not in one concentrated
Yeah,
block.
it's true.
So I think that's one of the issues for maybe the style of comedy that we like as well, or that we relate to, that would become from America. The second thing with UK comedy, I think it's always been on point, but underrated and underexposed in favor of American comedy anyway. So
It's
there's loads of
true.
comedians that I liked. I'm trying to think like some of the mainstream ones like your Lee Evans or like Joe Brando's quite funny. I'm trying to think some of the other ones, but
Even
Kojo,
Kojo though. Remember Kojo when he done I think it was Fresh Prince
yeah,
of
yeah,
Hackney.
yeah,
When he first put that one out, that was I remember crying like tears when I watched that for the first time. And Eddie
yeah, yeah,
Caddy as well. You got Richard
yeah. I forgot about
Blackwoods.
Richard. Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like you got all those man there that they're still doing, and Slim as well. They're still doing their circuit. Um, but I feel like America, I'm just not in touch with it. Like if Dave Chappelle drops something, I'm watching Dave
there's a few
Chappelle.
names in it. You know
But
what I mean? But
UK, yeah, like Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, Chris Tucker, maybe like the one that he's got on Netflix is okay, but it's nothing
mm,
special. Like, but saying that though, if you go on Netflix, there's loads of comedians. Like, there's a
yeah,
section obviously
yeah,
for comedians, stand up, and there's loads of people that I haven't really like. I wouldn't go to just watch or I don't really know about them. But some of their stuff when I watch, like every now and again, I might put one on and it's funny. But I just think I'm more. I've always been like invested probably more into comedy
yeah.
over here because, like for me, like Mo Gilligan, like I said, when you go and see him live, he's funny. The people I can't remember the guy that he had on tour with him last time, but he was
But
funny as well.
you got better.
Um,
They're more exposed here, and you've got more of a chance to go and see them. Do you know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So with
yeah.
even with the
True,
American
true,
ones
true.
back in the day, you wouldn't have. But it was also hard to probably see the limited English or UK Donnies as well. Whereas now there's tours. You know, they're doing more tours. They're touring quite often. You've got all the social media stuff, so it's probably easier to be connected, and it's probably the preference because there are certain things that we can relate to with the American comedians, but the UK ones, it's the culture, it could be the heritage, it could be the age, gender based stuff. Like there's a lot that we can be connected with. So I think part of it is that, and I think there's just an emergence. Like we're just in a good spell. We're quite lucky at the moment. We've had some good ones, but actually there's some guys that and women and however people are identifying that will look back and think, yeah, that was an elite era of comedy. Like that was funny, and I'm glad that I was exposed to that.
Yeah, no, it's true, man. It's true, and I think, yeah, I think that maybe it's just you're right. Maybe there's more exposure to them, and I think sometimes as well, like a lot of the like British comedians, they do like
Yeah,
smaller venues to test some of their material before they go on a tour. So, and you can see them for cheap. I remember, I think it was, oh man, it might have been Lee Evans, but I swear I've seen him for like this is
mm,
going back years, but I've seen him for like £4 or £5, and he done a
that's
lot
a
of the
test.
material that ended
Yeah,
up on like a big, yeah, he just tests it out with a smaller one. I know Mo done that. That's why he put on loads of those smaller
yeah.
shows in London. Can't remember the venue, but he done that before he went on his world tour. So a lot of people do that, but I just think, yeah, the Chris Rock one is good, but I just think people were waiting for the end in it, and I think had he probably started with the end at the start, he probably would have set up the whole
You'd had a lot of
special
callbacks in
a
it as
bit
well,
different.
most likely. Do you know what I mean? But
Do you know what though? He doesn't say anything wrong. Like I agree with everything. Like without spoiling it, but I think he says everything that he should say. I just think, and people are like, I remember going online afterwards, and people were saying, "Oh, but like he's left it a year, or he should have said this straight away, or he should have
mm,
had a fight with him on the stage or whatever." And he addresses a lot of that in the special. Um, but people were saying, "Oh, he's a bitch because he wouldn't say it to Will's face when he was there, and he didn't say this to Jada and all that stuff." And I just think, Let
Yeah.
the man live in it. Like obviously he was at the Oscars. You want him to roll around. I think we spoke about this anyway, but you want him to roll around, have a fight in front of
That's it.
millions of people.
Like, damned if you do,
Come on,
damned if you
man.
don't,
Black
innit?
man can't fight like
Yeah.
that. He can't do that. Black man, you wouldn't get a job again in
The police
Hollywood.
definitely would have got called
I mean,
for both of them. Trust me.
yeah, trust me, man. But yeah, saying that actually, say that. Going off topic slightly, but there was a mad video that I seen yesterday. Like it was a prank in America, doing like a Walmart or something, and it just made me think. This is why sometimes, like, not that I agree with
Mm.
this, and I'm not condoning this, but this is why people get gunned down sometimes. They get shot because
So,
this
cause that
this guy.
jumped quick.
No, 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 no. I'm gonna
Yeah,
explain why.
go,
I'm
go,
gonna
go,
explain why. I'm
go.
gonna explain why. But like the guys in the shop, they're doing like a prank, and there must be two guys in there, and they're like arguing, and then one of them goes, "I've got a gun, I've got a gun," and it's like I don't know if it's a replica or it's a fake or whatever. But he pulls out this gun in the middle of the Walmart, like there's just random people like buying, um,
Just
just
buying
buying their
grocery
stuff. Do you know what
and
I mean?
clothes and thing.
Um, yeah, 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 yeah. And then they're running around panicking, like, oh my
Yeah.
god, sort of thing. And like one of the Walmart staff have to wrestle him to the ground. Like it's mental. Like I can't. And then I thought to myself, this is why people
No,
get
because
gunned down.
hundred
They
percent.
get
Imagine
shot
you're there, your
because
kids, and obviously you've got a gun, and you see someone with a, you're
come
just
on,
gonna
bro.
go bang. There you go, sorted. Do you know? That's
Yeah,
that's a
it's
wild
mad.
prank. You know, there's a wild prank.
But this is why people always, when I see people doing these wild pranks and it goes left, I say serves you right because you just don't know in it. You just don't know like how it's gonna go in it. But it was mad, man. That was one of the maddest things I woke up to. Never go on Twitter first thing in the morning. I'm gonna stop doing that because that's where I kind of see all these mad things in the morning. Like the plane thing was in the morning as well. That plane
Listen,
thing that I
listen.
told you
Wake
about.
up
But
here. Do some stretching. Go do some meditation.
you know, what I've
Yeah,
started to do? Read that
yeah,
Athletic. That's what I've started to do now. I missed football yesterday. Actually, I missed a lot of it. I saw bits of the Arsenal. I went to bed before the Arsenal game finished, but
yeah,
I think they
yeah.
went
They
out on
did.
penalties.
Yeah,
United, the
United.
United
Yeah,
win was it
Rashford
1-0
scored. It
Rashford?
was 1-0.
Rashford,
Rashid.
Rashford feeding the kids and feeding the
This
girls.
guy.
That's what we
Yeah,
got.
yeah, yeah. No, yeah. The Arsenal game went on for ages. That didn't finish until it's almost 11.
Yeah, it
You
was
know what's
late,
funny
man.
though?
Yeah, it was
It's
late.
it's late now, but 10 years ago, that would have been that was sick. Went on. It's 2 hours, 3 hours of football.
No, 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 no. Do you know when Sporting scored? I knew then I needed to start getting ready for bed on it because I thought, nah, 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 this is gonna go into penalties. I'm not staying up for it, man. I could see as soon because I think Sporting had a couple of
Mm,
chances
mm,
before. Do you get me? Like I don't know if you got to see the game, but they had a couple of chances before, and the goal was mad as well. Like I can't remember who lost the ball in midfield.
yeah,
Someone lost the ball, and then I wasn't even paying too much attention, but someone scored from like Beckham-esque against Neil Sullivan, Wimbledon. It was literally like that. Ramsdale was off his line, 1-1. I thought, yeah, they're going out. They're going out now. Arsenal don't want this. They don't want another game. They want the Premier
yeah.
League. Um, it's a draw
It's
today. It's a
it's
draw been
um it's
today.
happening now. Have you seen the Champions League draw?
Yeah, man. Yeah, yeah. Seen it. Do you know what? Though? I'm not bothered, man. Like everyone's going, oh, Hala Madrid, Hala Madrid, and all that stuff. But listen, we beat Madrid already. We beat them over two legs. Different climate, different situation, different players, different manager, and all that. I hear that, but look, you can only beat who's in front of you, innit? Whether it's Benfica, Napoli, Inter, AC, it doesn't matter. Bayern,
Yeah, listen,
and that's going to be a good game. City, Bayern.
they're all good teams anyway. Like I feel like it's disrespectful to at this point in this year to be saying, yeah, we'd rather that team or that. Like all these teams are serious. Slyly though, slyly. I didn't even clock that. No, no, no. It's not even on that. Mm. I didn't realize there's three Italian teams in the draw, which
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
a throwback to the old days, isn't it?
I, I think this is the first time Napoli have got this
Yeah.
far, and I'm sure I read that this is the first time they've got this far in the Champions League, and I have them down as winners of the Champions League. I've got a bit of money on them, even against like I think they could beat anyone the way that they're playing.
They've slapped up a
Um,
few teams, a
uh,
few teams near where you are. few
Yeah,
few other
yeah,
teams. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think they'll do it, man. But did you see did you see any of the Gary Lineker stuff last week?
I did. I was following it because
That's that big breath of like disappointment or anger. I don't know what it was,
it
but
was it was mad because it's like, oh, I tell you what happened one time, yeah, when I was in school, yeah. So one kid, I think I was in year 10, and this kid that was in year 9, and I was eating my food at lunch, and he's running up his mouth to me. But I knew that he knew some of the elders that were just on stuff, and obviously I was already on stuff, yeah.
Mm,
So he run up his mouth. So I said, if you keep running up your mouth, yeah, I'm gonna box you in the face, yeah. So he was like, can't say that, can't say that, da 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 da. So then he runs off and tells one of the elders, and it's one of the elders coming over. So obviously,
mm.
real talk, I'm shitting myself thinking, oh, it's a bit mad. Like, in these times, like 2000, South London, anything
Yeah,
can
it's
be
mad
going on here.
techie.
So the older
Yeah, yeah,
comes
yeah,
over
yeah,
he says to me, "What you been saying to this guy?" So I said, "Look, he's just run up his mouth. Man's trying to eat his lunch. I'm trying to eat my lunch and that and all of that." So he just says to me, "Stand up here." So I stand up, and obviously these times I'm about 15, but I grew quick and then stopped growing. So I
yeah,
stand
yeah,
up here, and the year 9 guys are short anyway for year 9. So the older just looks at me, looks at him, and says, "Hey, let's stop run up your mouth to this guy." To the younger, yeah. And that's what coming bringing it back to Gary Lineker, that's what it felt like. But they tried, obviously conservatives made that the mad remark. He just said something that factually is true. And there's evidence as well. He just said that it sounds like this, and it did. And obviously BBC and Conservatives try to run up their mouth. And he said, all right, run up your mouth then, innit? And then it turns out that they didn't have a leg
Mm,
to stand on. And that's what it felt like. He just said,
mm.
do what you got to do. I don't even need to be here. This isn't even my biggest gig. Do you know what I mean? And they were like, oh, sorry, Gary. Do you know what? It was us. Let's renew the let's renew the policy. Like, mad.
You know when I know they fucked up when do you know how I know that they knew that they were fucked because he came out of his house. I think it was
Mm,
the day after they told him, might have been the Friday, last Friday, that he was walking his dog and he was smiling.
new
He
in it.
was like, he knew he was coming back to match of the day. He was like, I got a weekend off. I can go watch Leicester Chelsea. I can walk my dog. I can do this. I can go here, do that. And he knew because the press were like, are you worried? Have you spoke to the BBC? Have you done? And he was just like, yeah, no, can't. When someone's stressed and
Yeah,
they're like,
yeah,
get
yeah,
away
yeah.
from me. Don't talk to me. Why are you outside my property? He wasn't doing none of that.
He's
He was just like,
entertaining it, innit?
come on, Butch, whatever his dog was called. He's like, Buster, come on, let's go for a walk. And he was smiling. And he went to the Leicester game. He was smiling. But there's a couple things that I like over that course of like, was it like
Mm,
4 days or whatever it was, that made me think a little bit because I thought he was right in what he said, Gary Lineker. People were saying that he breached his contract and he never because he didn't say it on the BBC. His contract is different to a lot
yeah,
of
he's a
people's
freelancer, innit?
who are employed by
Mm,
BBC. He's a freelancer. He can say what he wants as long as he doesn't say it on the BBC. But then the thing that got me thinking was, you think about all these little taking the knee, say no to racism, all them kind of stuff, yeah. And it got me thinking, just imagine when Saka and Sancho were getting racially abused, yeah, if they done that for that. Imagine they done that. Imagine they said, you know what, we're not going on match of the day. We're not gonna go on this channel. We're not gonna do that. And we're gonna stop.
yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like stand up for that as well, because they're both right. I'm not saying one's better than the other, or we shouldn't be trying to push out these mad policies and trying to like control people like in
No,
the
100.
1930s. But racism just as bad, and if anything, it's worse. Let's be honest. Like I don't want to say one's worse or not, but we know there's a lot more racism in football and in society than there is about this
Yeah,
one policy. But just back all things like that. They've shown that they've got the power where they like Gary Lineker,
well,
Ian
they
Wright,
all bounced,
Jermaine
didn't
Genius,
they?
all
They
of
all
these people,
bounced.
even the commentators. Remember, this is the first time I think Match of the Day had no commentary. It was literally, and I enjoyed that. To be fair, I didn't watch it, but I would have enjoyed it because I don't need the commentary. I
Yeah,
just need
yeah.
to see the goals
But it's
do you know what I
the it's
mean?
the it's
But
the gesture, isn't it? And it's the what was it when when they had the Black Lives Matter thing, everyone was like, "Oh, let's post a black square on our profile picture." Do you know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah. Like,
all right, or we can just not work for the day until you fix. So
yeah.
I know I totally hear what you mean, and it's not. We're talking about obviously heritage and race and that, but it's interesting how people react to different things at different points when they're ready. I'm not criticizing him for walking out because of his own thing and not others, but it's quite interesting why they that's the point at which they do it. But it's not happening by
Mm.
other people for other things. And I'll leave Ian Wright
Yeah,
out
it
of it
has to,
because
man.
I know he does you know he does a lot
Yeah,
of things.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
So
he does. No, he does. He does. I just think if you're gonna do it for one, do it for all, and not even just racism. Do it for anti-bullying or anti everything. If it's just, do you know what I mean? Do it
mm,
for everything because they've now shown that they have the power. These people, because look how it disrupted even um like the match of the day two on a
yeah,
Sunday. It
yeah,
disrupted all of that as well. So I know their figures weren't disrupted. I think they got more viewers than they would have done if it was all run normal. But if they'd done that on a weekly thing, and they like you just said, this is even their biggest gig. Like Ian Wright and Alan Shearer were working on Premier League. Like there's a Premier League
mm,
channel I think that gets broadcast in America. They were on there at the weekend. So it's not even like it's not like they lost out on like
yeah,
millions of
yeah.
pounds or something. They just thought, fuck it, we don't even need to be here anyway. We can go and do our thing with the Premier League. So yeah, I just think it needs to be a bit more. Yeah, I'm glad they done it, but come on, man, we know that other things have been happening, and all we've got is a little print Black Lives Matter on the back of everyone's football, or rainbow laces, or the black square, all of that stuff that don't mean
Yeah.
nothing. You see, like the clubs are the ones and the pundits. But imagine United said, we're not fielding a team this weekend. Rashford or Sancho got abused at England game. We're not fielding a team. Fine us. Imagine they done that because they
Yeah,
can. They can trust me. They
100%,
they can stop it for
100%.
COVID. Do you know what I mean? They stopped the game for COVID. They can stop it for anything now. So it just if they said, "Oh, we're not traveling to that game," Sancho got abused, then the FA aren't doing nothing about it. They could do it. So I think we just now that they've done that, and
They've
they're
set they've set a
don't forget, match
benchmark
of the
in
day
it
is a big thing.
for
Yeah, match of the day is a big thing in people's households on a Saturday. Like when they're drinking their Stellas, they've been out. Like I said, they've been out since 7:30 in the morning, and they get back and they're still drinking the Stellas. That's a big part of their Saturday
mm,
night.
mm.
They're drawing millions of people. So if they don't do that properly, imagine there's no football to drink at. You ain't got to get up and travel for football because United or Chelsea or whatever team don't want to field the team. The power's in them, not in the FA, not in the Premier League and that. It's with the people that and the
Yeah.
fans as well. But yeah, it was. I'm
Do you
glad he
think? Do you
done that, man.
think? Kind of a side note to it, but do you think it was helpful in further exposing what's going on in the BBC? And I have
Oh yeah,
where this is coming from is I don't know if you're aware, but there was a program that was due to be aired that David Attenborough was doing his voice or whatever it is a nature program, and it was highlighting some
mm.
issues about I think it was either dumping or toxic waste, but it was shining a light
Yeah, yeah,
obviously
yeah.
on certain other things, and but that didn't really get coverage. Obviously, it's a slightly different situation, but obviously, do you think that this was helpful in further exposing, or do you think it was just kind of like we already know this anyway, so it's kind of it didn't really make a difference? What you thought?
I think it. I think it sheds a lot of light on people that might not know what happens in the BBC. Like I read stuff that I didn't know while that Gary Lineker stuff was happening, and I did see that David Attenborough stuff, but I didn't really read into it. I didn't know what the program was about. I just knew that they were shelving a program they didn't want to
Mm,
broadcast. Um, but there's a lot of stuff like even in terms of people from the BBC, high up
mm,
directors that level, like
the
funding
party,
parts of
yeah,
the Conservatives. So I didn't really know into that. I read all about it at the weekend. I didn't really know to what level and what degree they were supporting that. But there's a lot that I think. unless these things come up and surface, you don't really have a reason to dive into them and research them. So I think it gives people the I don't know, the notion, whatever, to
Just
go
be a
and
bit
look and see,
curious.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah, wonder why they're outraging about this or one. And then when you find it, you go down a little rabbit hole and you get some certified information from
Mm.
a good source, and you think, raw, I can see why they're like that. But the thing that annoyed me most was that, and I think again we spoke about this on previous episodes, was like they had Tim Westwood on their wage bill, they had Jimmy Savile on their wage bill, and now they're outraged by one man who's kind of the face of, or one of the faces of their channel, talking about something that's actually factual. That's their anger.
It's funny. It's
Come on,
funny.
man.
It's
Shows the
funny because
standards, man.
I watched a video on it from I think it's called HITC. It's a good channel actually on YouTube, and he's saying that someone else not really a big fan of at all, Jeremy Clarkson, and all the madnesses that he gets up to, and Alan Sugar, and particularly with Alan Sugar,
Yeah, come on.
he
I
he
tweeted
was
about
wasn't
it.
he was while he was doing, because I think he still does The Apprentice. I don't watch it, but he was
Yeah, he does. He
tweeting
does.
on day of the election to tell people to go and vote Conservative. I didn't even
Not
say
even just
anything
that
to him.
though. Do you not remember that
The
racist
one with
joke that he said?
the
Something to do with
beach, when
Africa.
it was a picture of, was it Senegal
Yeah.
team who's like, oh, they should be on a beach in Spain
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something like
yeah,
that,
yeah, 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 yeah. And Danny Baker, let's not forget how he called
and
Prince
calling
Harry's
royal family a monkey.
son
Yeah.
a chimp. Yep. So all these people, and he got reinstated. He got a podcast out of it. And Alan Sugar's
Mm.
still there, like you said. Come on, like he's okay to tell people to go and vote for a particular party, but when Gary Lineker's talking about something, it's uproar. That's how I knew. Like I said, I knew he was calm. He knew he was calm because he was smiling coming out of his house. He thought, you know what, I might actually get some compensation out of this because you know what I mean, like you've taken me off air for a week. Surely you're breaching, and I read that they breached um their own like
Like disciplinary
rules or
policy or
whatever
something.
because well, basically, because they had no commentary for Match of the Day, they couldn't obviously provide subtitles
Oh,
for people who were
oh,
impaired.
right. I didn't even think
So
about that.
yeah, so they breached their
Oh,
own
that's dumb.
sort of policy or guidance. I don't know. I didn't read into it too much, but yeah, it made sense when you think about it. Like there's no commentary, so you just had people just watching the screen. Do you know what I mean? Like, or not watching the screen. I don't know. So it was a bit of a mad one. So yeah, I don't know, man. But I'm glad he's back anyway. I think he's
Yeah,
back this
yeah.
week,
It's
isn't
all,
he?
it's
I
all,
think
it's all,
they seem
it's
to
all
come back
sorted.
and not that. I don't know if do you even watch it?
No,
Do
I
you still
ain't.
watch Match of the
Do
Day?
you know? Funny enough, the last time I watched Match of the Day, oh, it's gonna kill me.
Man's gonna
It's gonna
say when
kill me right now.
man's gonna say when Van Gaal
Oh,
was still at
listen,
United.
listen. Before then, do you know the last time? The last time I watched
Ah,
Match of the Day was
now if you say
no,
Alex
no, no, no,
Ferguson, we're
no.
locking the
Listen,
pot.
listen, listen. Allow me in it. The last time I watched it was the weekend before the last day of the season when Man City won their first Prem.
What the
The
QPR
weekend
game?
before, I couldn't. Yeah, I
Oh, sorry,
couldn't.
the weekend.
That game, yeah. That yeah, I know that
Oh,
game, that QPR game, that was so emotionally scarring. I only watched that for the first
okay.
time about 2 years ago, like the highlights, the goal. I didn't. I kind of seen. Do you know why it was so bad? Because I was moving that day. I think I told you this story.
I
Yeah, I was
vaguely
moving
remember.
that
Yeah,
day,
yeah.
so I was taking things down to the car to drive obviously to my new place. So I was obviously putting it off. So I was following the game. And I was like, raw, like, United might actually do this. Da 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 da. I think it's like, it was about 87th minute. I was like, there's no way these men are going to score 2 goals. So I was just, for about 10 minutes, I was just doing my own thing. I come back up. I see, like, Torre and Aguero and, is it Mancini, like,
Everyone
celebrating. I'm
celebrating.
like, right, how?
It was a mad game.
Oh,
No, no, no. It was a mad game. It was a mad game. I remember watching it. I remember exactly where I was. I remember everything. And I remember saying, even when they were losing, I said, "Watch Man City win this game. They're gonna win this game." And when it got to like, because don't forget, Joey Barton got sent off late into the
try to
game,
punch them in.
and then Balotelli comes on, and I remember thinking, Balotelli might get the winner. And I always thought he was going to score the winner because he didn't really score that many goals. But when he scored, it was like an important goal for City. And I thought he's going to score the winner. But I think it was his only assist for Man City, if I'm correct. And what an assist, because the way I celebrated, I don't know why I celebrated,
It's
because I
just the
wasn't,
emotion of
I
what's
mean,
going on in it.
Chelsea
You know
won.
what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's just like, it's a mad game. Like, even when they done it against Villa
Yeah,
recently,
yeah. I
was it
think I
Villa?
think it was, yeah,
Yeah, Villa, I
to
think.
take it away from Liverpool.
So even then, I was just like, yeah, that meant more
Yeah, I
because
was
I
gonna
did
say
not
I
want
know why you
Liverpool to win the
celebrated.
league.
So at that time,
Yeah, yeah, that one, I nearly ran outside for that
no
one.
man.
So, but I was reading about keeping on the football topic real quick, but I was reading about Aiden
Mm,
Hazard, who I think is now 31 or
mm,
32, and he's um he's come out now as again the athletic little plug there, but I was reading on there that he's wants to see out. He's got I think a year
mm.
left on his contract. He wants to see it out, um, and he's willing to kind of just sit around. He's highest paid man at the club, and I think his son has just enrolled or just been has
Like the
signed
U
for
team.
Real
Yeah.
Madrid like youth team, and his family is settled there. But do you think there comes a point where you kind of hit that Gareth Bale like territory where you just money becomes a bit more important than the football itself?
So this is some I know I was thinking about this before because similarly you got unlike Paul Pogba who's I think he's played 2 games all year and he's on Mad P.
Mm,
It was getting me thinking. I'm going to answer your question with a question. It was getting me thinking about the f- the function of why people actually play football because
mm,
in most other industries, if you're doing the hazard flex and you're getting paid that money, you're 100% just going to stay on that money. Do you know what I mean? And it make me if you think about Hazard's career, so obviously he was in France, he was at Lille, wasn't he? I can't remember where he was before that, what academy he was in, and obviously he's Chelsea
yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
Real Madrid. And to be fair, if he doesn't seem particularly like loyal. Like I don't think he's out there like trying to backstab like clubs and stuff. Like I think he's passionate about what he's doing, but I think he's passionate because he just wants to be the best and do the best for him. So it
Yeah,
just
it's
makes me
true.
think. Then listen, if he's in it to play their game and earn the peas, it don't matter. And I think it's a mindset that's probably come in. So Gareth Bale, I don't know how much money he's on or how much he's worth, but yeah, that 100% makes sense. And I I can't disagree with someone for wanting to do that because when it come down to it, how much is Hazard on? Is it like 300 grand?
I'm not sure. I'm not. I didn't. Yeah. If not that, just under. But yeah,
He's on.
he's on
Listen,
money.
if
And
you
don't
want to
think
pay me,
how
if you
long's he
want to
been
pay
there?
me 300 grand a year, let alone a week, and I can go and I can do my paperwork, but when it comes to meetings and stuff, if I'm just not ready to do it and my work's saying don't worry about it, for that money, I'm 100% take. I'm sorry, but and anyone that tells you that they were not taking that kind of money for the bare minimum,
Mm.
I'm not sure if they're being completely honest with themselves. So do you know what I
No,
mean?
no,
I
no. I
don't.
agree.
I
I hear
don't
you, man.
just making his peas, innit? What about you? What do
I
you
hear
think?
you, man. I think there just becomes a point. Like I was saying to someone on Twitter that I think when you come to a certain, don't forget he's pretty much won every
Hmm.
trophy possible. I think in terms of
Club
what he
football.
can in
Yeah.
wherever he's played for club and not country, but Super Cup, Champions League, Europa League, obviously not the conference, but he's won Premier Leagues, he's won FA Cups, Spanish Copa del Rey's, and I know he hasn't participated in a lot of those games, but he's still got the
Mm,
medal to
mm.
show for it. End of the day, like when he's retired and then his son says, "Oh, Dad, like that Champions League medal." Oh, yeah, that's my Champions League medal. So whether he's played in them games or not, I don't want to hear that he's got the medal. Um, but I think becomes a point in people's careers where even with or without the money, I think if you're settled somewhere, don't forget, guys, when you're a footballer, you're
It's all the
traveling
time, innit?
around all the time. You're not settled. Your kids are never really settled anywhere. They're uprooted, and then you get another deal. Someone wants to sign you for whatever money. You got to go, and then this and that, or you leave your kids back wherever they were, and then you are living away
Mm.
from them forever. So not forever, but for your contract, and then you never settled. So maybe now he's just settled in Spain. His family are happy there, like he said. His son's now in a football team that's established, one of the probably one of the best academies in Europe. Why would he want to leave? Why would he want to go somewhere else and try and redo everything again? When he's at that age where he knows he's not going to be playing every game. He doesn't expect to play every single game. Like you said, we know that he's on good money. The weather's half
Yeah,
decent
hundred
in
percent.
Spain. What, you want him to come back to London and wake up in grey clouds and fog and pollution?
That's the
Like
thing, and you're right. Like when you think about it, I know a lot of people say, but he's on bare money and all that, this and that and the other. But it's like, yeah,
mm,
but it's like you say, like when you deep it, he's if his family's settled, he's spending more time with his family. He's just enjoying life, making his money. He's chilling. Who are we to judge and begrudge somebody of that? Do you know what I mean? So I think it's a bit different if
mm,
he's running around moving mad and whatever, like funding all kinds of nonsenses, which I don't know if he does or doesn't, but yeah, like he's just chilling. I think what it is for a lot of people is when I remember watching him and thinking this guy's an incredible talent, and it's when they kind of fall off the ball and maybe they could have done a bit more. But like you said, he's won everything. He ain't got nothing to prove to people, and when he's gone out trying to just do his job, everybody's onto him anyway. Oh, you're too fat, or you ain't fit enough, or yeah, you haven't done enough for your country, or you're not as committed. And it's like, yeah, I just want to go home and chill.
yeah. And I think very similar to like Gareth Bale. I know Gareth Bale had every now and again he kind of came out and made like
Little digs.
subliminals to Real Madrid, but you never hear Hazard coming out saying, "Look, I hate the club. They're not playing me this and that." And like, what's his name, Richarlison at Spurs the other day. You never hear him coming out and doing that. He just comes out and he does his thing, or he's on the bench chilling, or when they win a trophy, he's like that with the medal. So he's going to work, he's training, he's doing his job. The manager ain't selecting him. When he selects him, he starts, he plays him. He's going home to his family. I don't see that problem, man. With Pogba, it's a bit mad because I think Pogba, wherever he goes and whatever he does, there's always like seems to be like negativity around him, and I've never understood that because like he's one of the most talented players I think I've ever watched
Mm,
play football.
mm,
So I don't get why there's negativity around him. Again, yeah, he's injured a lot this season. I think he's not. I think he's what
mm.
started 2 games or something like that. So I know that there's injuries there, but at the same time as well, on his day, he's one of the best. And at the end of the day as well, he didn't ask. Well, he did ask for the wages, but they're still willing
That's
to
it.
pay him his
Do you know?
wages.
Do you
So
know what I mean?
you can't begrudge a man because the club are willing to pay him what he's asked to be paid, and he didn't ask to get them injuries. Um, hasn't worked out for him, but I still think he's. I mean, he's not as old as Hazard. I don't think so.
He's a little bit younger. I
Um,
think I think he's must be
yeah,
29
yeah.
or
So
30. But
yeah, so he's got a couple more years in him, man. And I think if he can get himself back to his fitness, I mean, again, he could be another one that ends up back in France somewhere
mm,
or
mm.
wants to drop down a peg or two and just enjoy his football again and look after his family. Like he's got kids as well. He's got a wife and that. So he just wants to chill, man. Just relax and
I think that's the thing that
just
we
chill, man.
forget though, and it's like sometimes we just take that maturity to understand a person's motivation. It's like
Mm,
me the other day when I talked to someone about work, I'm like, listen, I'm here for business, innit? Like, obviously, you know what I do, but when I say business, it's just I've got a contract. I'm employed to do a job. I get that job done. Then all the other stuff after that, like
mm,
like laugh and joke with people and all of that. And I just turned around and I said, that's just where it is. Like I just feel settled. I don't really need to move or anything like that. And I got a funny look. So I was thinking, then no, I said, how would you feel if you asked me for something important? And I was like, oh yeah, I didn't do it because yeah, I was talking to someone about EastEnders or Game of Thrones or something. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, everybody's got different motivations for being at work, and it's the same with footballers. So at the end of the day, yeah, it's to fund their lifestyle, whatever it is. So yeah, good luck to him. Obviously, if he goes like United or something like that, then or if he goes like a Chelsea and he's doing that, then obviously, yes, it's all fun and jokes until it happens to you, innit? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true, man. It's true. But nah, I hope for the best, man. For you know what, the only person I do feel sorry for a little bit, and I know we're talking a lot about football, but if you don't like football, then tough. This is the new revised. Stay tuned. This is how we're gonna do it from now on. But Deli Ali, I
Mm.
think Deli Ali's like, I think I read something yesterday that the team that he's playing for in Turkey have literally like
Yeah,
removed
they
him
don't want
from the
him there.
squad completely. They're trying to don't want him there. Hasn't worked out for him there. Hasn't worked at Everton. Hasn't worked at Spurs. I don't know, man. I don't know where. And he's still relatively young. Like he
Yeah,
could
he's
still
like,
go
isn't
to a
it like
club.
mid to late 20s?
Yeah, he's got about
Yeah.
27, maybe 28. But he's got a lot of time on his hands, man. I feel sorry for him to some aspects because he's got this stigma now where he's just the bling guy. I hate that word bling, but
Mm.
you know what I mean? Like the flashy guy that I think I can't remember who said it, but he turned up at Everton with the Rolls Royce and everyone made a big deal about it. But if even like Rashford, you see that thing about Rashford the other day when they said about after the 7-0 and then he was driving his
But
McLaren or something through
it's a mad
Manchester and
statement, and I know what you're referring to with Deli Ali because I think it was on I
was
think it
it
was Harry
Talksport?
Redknapp, wasn't it? I think it was him or
Yeah,
Allardyce. It
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was on.
one of them
Yeah,
dinosaurs.
It was
Was it
Harry.
Harry?
It was Harry.
And
It was
it's
Harry.
like,
Yeah, yeah.
but he's not even kicked a ball yet. He's turned up in his car that gets him to work. He's do
The
you
man
know do you know
he wants him to take the
do you
National
know how
Express from
but
London
do you
to
know how
Liverpool.
mad that is? Imagine you pull up in your car to work, like your first or second day of work, and someone saying, "Oh, why are you driving that to work? Like you should drive something a bit more." It's
Bro,
just like, but
it's a bit
what's
mad, isn't
going
it?
on?
It's a bit mad still. It is a bit mad. I don't understand that. And I think even outside of football, I think that happens a lot where people judge you before they know you. And then sometimes them labels that they try and give you initially, they just stick with
Mm.
you. You know, like I know sometimes in like my line of work, people come across lazy or they come across as someone who doesn't want to do, but they're one of the everyone works differently or everyone does things differently. And some people just don't work. Like they don't have to go, oh, look what I've done every minute. Some people like me, I don't go look what I've done every 2 minutes. I just get my work done and it's done. If you want to see it, I'll show you. But some people have to let you know, yeah,
They
I'm
need
doing
that
this, I'm doing
approval,
that.
innit, or that acknowledgement, reassurance.
Reassurance. I
Yeah.
don't need that. I just get my work done. And if you want to see it, if you say to me, oh, can you show me this, and this, and I need it by this deadline, yeah, no problem. I'll get it done. But I'm not gonna like tell you word by word and minute by minute what I'm doing. And I think when people label you something, like they could label me lazy, and then like throughout the whole next 10 years, people can go, "Oh, he's lazy. He doesn't do anything." But deep down, I do. It's just I don't. Do you know what I mean? So maybe Dele Ali again, without seeing what he does on the training ground, maybe he is lazy. Maybe he is sort of more into just the lifestyle of a footballer now. But he's made his money. You got to think when he's getting paid a good wage. If he's invested it in the right way, he's set up for life. So again, you can't really
No,
knock him for that.
that's the thing. It's true what you say about the workplace as well. So people put so much energy into trying to, knock you down, or just they're so concerned about what they think you're not doing. It blinds them to what you are doing. And even if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, they're not even a person that is supposed to be flagging that. It's between you and the manager. Do you know what I mean? But it's
It's
funny.
true.
It's that old
It's true, man.
school mentality I find, and that's coming out more and more. But I'm sure, as we probably will talk about in another episode, the workforce is changing a lot. Like the way that work looks
Wait.
is, yeah, yeah.
Days, man. No, we're gonna do that. We're gonna have to
Mm.
wrap up for this week. But no, definitely, man. For anyone that's listening, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're on YouTube now. We're gonna have our Twitter account back active. Instagram's gonna be active, all of that stuff. So you'll be able to see all the socials down at the bottom of the screen. So make sure you subscribe, like, hit the notification bell on Spotify or Apple Podcast as well, man. We're gonna be doing this a lot more regular. Season one, so yeah, man, we're going to be trying to do these a lot more frequent than we have been. So anyone who's been here before, thank you for sticking around. If you're new, welcome aboard, man. You're gonna have to get used to the way that we do things. And if you don't like football, then I don't know, man, because we have to keep the football
It'll be
conversation going, isn't it? We're gonna have to add a bit of football every week,
there'll
man.
be a little bit of it, but yeah, obviously, yeah, man, just a range of things in it. And if you don't like football, maybe you might start to like football. Got to give things a try.
We're gonna Yeah, we're gonna mix up the topics, man, 100%. But thank you for listening. This has been episode one of season. We're gonna call this season one. We call it season one. We're gonna just go back to
You called it
call it
season one.
season
You
one, innit?
called it season one already, so season one now.
Season one, man. Stay tuned, man. Thank you very much for listening. We'll be back very soon with another episode, man. Thanks for listening, though. Thanks.